No, últimos minutos en este cuarto.
Y ahí tienes la de estados de cuenta de otros bancos actualizados, dice aquí. Ya tú los imprimiste.
So, my parents tricked me and I'm at the airport and I thought I was going to like welcome some stranger that doesn't speak any English. I was like, okay, I'm gonna help them. And oh my god.
Pues mira tu chico, hija.
Oh my god, my dad is here. Oh my god. Hold on. I know what you're thinking, and you are wondering where the emotional meeting after 2 years video is at. Well, long story short, I have a new phone, and in order for you to understand the story, you need to know that this is my new phone and this is my old phone. So, what happened? I don't really want to blame my dad, but you know, he disabled my old phone. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically, you know, when you enter the wrong code a couple of times in a row and the iPhone says, oh, it's going to be disabled for 15 minutes. Well, once you do that after 6 times in a row, your phone gets disabled, meaning that it can't be used. And the only way to recover every single thing you had in your phone is if you had a backup. In my case, I didn't have a backup. And even if I did, the backup wouldn't have had the videos that I recorded a couple of days ago. So I ended up restoring my old phone and it doesn't have anything, and that is why I don't have that video. And I didn't send it to anyone, I didn't save it anywhere. So you remember that video of that airport and like the floor, you don't see anything, but that's the only thing that survived because it was recorded in this phone. So yeah, that's not what the video is about. The video is about me meeting my dad after 2 years. No quería nieve, pues. Despacito. Like, I had absolutely no idea that this was going to happen. I was strict. So how did my parents pull this off? One day I was mad at my boss. It was my birthday and he did something that I didn't like and I was mad at him. And so that day my mom told me that apparently he got in touch with her and asked her if I could do him a favor because I was mad at him. I didn't want to do it. Then my mom, she said, oh, you're going to welcome this Colombian guy, he's coming to the country, he doesn't speak any English, all you gotta do is welcome him into the airport and then take him to the hotel, make sure he checks in, and that's it. And they're gonna pay you $300. So I was like, I'm gonna have to do it. And you might be wondering, why did I believe this lie? Because at my work a couple of months ago, a manager who was Colombian went into my job and started talking to people and like monitoring what everybody was doing and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that this was another manager that was going to go to work, you know. So yeah, I had no idea that this was going to happen. And you know, it was kind of weird that my mom said that she was going to go with me, but I was like, well, okay, it's better for me so I don't have to talk to the like random guy. I don't know what to talk about. So you guys can have a little chit chat and I'm gonna be here earning money. And that's when she said, oh, he's gonna wear a red shirt and a hat. Great, that doesn't help very much. And I was just like standing there, and a couple of hours had gone by. Like the flight was supposed to get there, let's say, I don't know, about around 4, and it was already like 6 or 7, and I was tired, I was grumpy. I was like, I don't want to stay here until freaking 9 p.m. waiting for this random guy. And another thing that I thought was that, you know, it was Christmas Eve, and a lot of people were there to welcome their friends and family and all their loved ones. And I was standing there thinking, well, god dang it, the first time I set foot on this airport after 2 years is not for me to go back home, it's not for me to welcome a loved one, but it is for me to welcome a complete stranger on Christmas Eve. Great. But then suddenly the doors opened, and I saw a red shirt, and then I looked up and I saw my dad's face, and all I thought was, my dad. It wasn't even a question, it was a statement. I thought, my dad. And before I even noticed, I was already running towards my dad, and I was hugging him, and I was crying my eyes out. And I was crying on his shoulder, then I would look at his face and then cry again on his shoulder and look at his face, because I honestly couldn't believe that he was there. And that's when they told me they had been planning this for a month. And then that's when we started our little adventure. On day 2, my mom and I took my dad to square one, and it was chaotic because it was Boxing Day. I bought my dad his first Starbucks, and he loved it. And finally, I gave him to taste his first poutine.
¿Qué tal? Rico.
Day 3 was one of the many chill days that we had. We just stayed at home, I made my dad some pancakes, we also watched Narcos and Queen of the South, and Fate of the Furious, the last movie. It was on day 4 that my dad decided to disable my old phone. I mean, I am aware that it was an accident and we didn't know what to do. We were just trying to like save the content there, and then I explained to him. I got in touch with someone at Apple and they told me what I had to do, and then I told him what I had to do, and that meant that I would probably lose all the things that I had in my phone, including the photos and videos of his arrival. And he felt really bad. He felt guilty, and the rest of the day he was just like cooking lunch for me and making sure like I wasn't mad. And then after we had some lunch, we decided to show my dad my university, and we decided to go, but there was just one issue. One would think that everything would still be open, because you know there's a lot of people that stay at university who don't go home, they live in rest, and you know one would think that things, stores, food restaurants would be open, but the reality is they are not. So after an hour and a half of commuting, my mom and I brought my dad to a closed university. He couldn't see anything because literally everything was closed. On day 5, I had to go to an interview made by a person that I had interviewed before, well, her assistant, and my dad went with me. So in order for us to get to that place, we had to go to my university first, and again, everything was closed. But after the interview, the assistant gave me a gift card, and it was a Starbucks gift card, and my dad and I were hungry, so I took him to get his second Starbucks. And while we were eating, my dad said something like, "Oh, this is the first time that I get to drink a coffee like this with you." And I realized that it was true, because the first Starbucks was just I bought them, I got them, and then we started walking around the mall. This was the first time that we were sitting on a table and just taking our time and having a coffee break. On day 6, I brought my dad to Bramley City Center. The funny thing about that day is that while we were waiting for my mom, because she was somewhere else, we were waiting for her, and I wanted to buy makeup. So I went into Sephora and my dad went into Sephora with me, and it was as if he entered a completely different dimension, and he was the only man there, he was the only dad there, and he was just like, what the heck am I doing here? What the heck is going on? Day 7 was New Year's Eve. It was December 31st, and my mom and I took my dad to downtown, but it was cold. But we still walked around, and you know, we wanted to welcome the New Year as a family. And we were going to stay until 12 a.m. to receive the year there, but it was so cold and things were closing. So you couldn't go inside a shop to warm yourself and then go outside again. So we ended up going to the Eden Center and we showed him around, we took some pictures, and then at the end there was like this beautiful display. I don't remember the store's name, I think it was Hudson Bay, I don't know. But it was a really beautiful display and they had like a lot of different stations and we just took pictures there like typical tourists that we are. On day 8 we went to Niagara Falls. Niagara. So on this day, we went to the casino. And you know, you could see all these seniors playing, everybody knew what they were doing, and then there was my parents and I, and we had no idea what we were doing, and we tried to play it a couple of times, and we ended up earning $7. And after our successful time at the casino, we decided to go for a walk and take a look at the waterfalls. So I decided to put days 9, 10, and 11 all together because we did exactly the same thing. We just stayed at home, we watched some movies, we chilled, and we had a great time.
Tarzan. 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 Tarzan.
And then, day 12. My mom and I took my dad to Yorkdale and we wanted to show him around, and especially I wanted to go eat at this new like French dessert restaurant, and it was just a day like any other.
Votre toast, je peux vous le rendre, Seigneur, Seigneur, car avec les soldats, Lilyy, Toreador, peuvent s'entendre, pour plaisir, is all they combat.
But then my mom said something that, God, made me remember that it was his last day here. And so the laughs turned into trying really hard not to cry because I didn't want him to feel bad. Day 13 was a nightmare. You know, the entire time that he was here, I knew it was a countdown. I knew it was a ticking bomb that at the end of 2 weeks, it would explode. all day I was reminding myself that I shouldn't cry, that I shouldn't cry, I shouldn't cry, I shouldn't cry. And I did that for most of the day. Even at the airport, I was trying not to cry. I was trying to show my dad that we had a great time together. I obviously didn't want him to go. So I stood by his side. I didn't want to go anywhere where he wouldn't go. I wanted to spend all the time with him. And I was even telling my mom, don't cry in front of him. Whenever he would turn around or anything, I would say, don't cry in front of him. And then it was all of a sudden, we were having some coffee and then we were walking towards the gate that he had to go through. And then that's when my parents hugged, and that's when they said goodbye, and then that's when I hugged him. And that's when I said goodbye. If you ask me what is the worst part of being an immigrant, I wouldn't say that is that I have to pay a tuition that is 10 times bigger of that of a Canadian or a permanent resident. I wouldn't say that is that I have to find a job so I can pay for my house and my food and all of that. I would say that the hardest part of being an immigrant is that you are away from your friends and family. And you know, it's hard to chat with your family, to text or call and hear what they're going through and wishing you were there when they're planning birthdays that you can't go to, holidays that you wish you could spend together. That is the hard part. But well, all that matters here is that I got to see my dad finally, and like I said, these 2 weeks were amazing. They were completely amazing. Oh god. I just wanted to make this little video for him because my grandma sees my videos and she shows them to him, and I think he also goes into my channel and watches my videos. So I don't know how to end this other than saying that, you know, spend a lot of time with your friends and family. Go to that holiday party you don't want to go. And just spend all the time that you can with them. So with that, it's a wrap, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. And I hope I get to see you guys soon. Bye.
Es que la cosquilla no me la da.
Me voy a caer.
La cosquilla no me da cosquilla, es la silla y eso la que es la, ¿verdad?